You're watching Forsaken Joe. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy the story. Let's begin.
The second the coffee hit my nose, I knew something was wrong. It was too sharp, metallic, almost. Not the usual medium roast my wife always bragged about grinding fresh. It hit my gut with a wave of déjà vu and nausea I couldn't place at first, until I remembered the headaches. The dizzy spells. The way I'd been dragging for months now, with no medical explanation. I glanced across the table. Amber was watching me. We were at our usual monthly brunch. Dana and Brian hosted it at their beach house in Morro Bay, some overpriced glass-front monstrosity right on the sand. Dana, Brian's wife, handled the kitchen. Amber always brought the drinks. Today, she handed me that mug with a little too much enthusiasm. "Try this blend, babe. Thought you'd like it." Her voice was too cheerful. Her eyes didn't match. Quick note before we keep going. Before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. I didn't sip. I smiled. Lifted the mug like normal. Then when Dana stepped out of the kitchen to grab the muffins, I made the switch, fast and smooth. She left her cup right by the fruit tray. Identical mug. Nobody noticed. Amber's eyes followed me too closely after that. I watched Dana take a sip of what was supposed to be mine. She gave a little wince. Ugh. Bitter. Did I forget the sugar? I laughed it off. Nah, probably just strong. Amber went full espresso mode today. Brian was busy running his mouth about some new marketing pitch. Dana nodded, polite as ever, but her hand started shaking. She reached for her water without looking up. Amber had gone quiet. I caught her eyes. She looked panicked, barely holding it together under her smile. That was the first real moment it hit me. She wasn't worried for Dana. She was watching for my reaction. I leaned back, heart pounding. For months I'd been brushing off the fatigue, the stomach problems, the brain fog. The way I'd feel fine until dinner, then crash. I saw 2 doctors. Nothing ever showed up. But now Dana was showing the exact same signs, after one sip. I stood up, walked casually into the kitchen, and grabbed a paper towel like I needed to wipe my hands. Really, I needed to breathe. That was the moment I knew I wasn't crazy. Amber had been trying to poison me. I stepped back into the dining room like nothing happened. Mug still in hand. Smile still fake. But my eyes? Locked on Dana. She'd gone pale. Real pale. Like all the color drained out of her face in the last 30 seconds. She blinked hard, rubbing her temple. "Sorry," she muttered, pushing the mug away. "I think I need to sit down for a sec." "You are sitting," Brian said, laughing like an idiot. Dana didn't laugh. She leaned forward, elbows on the table, and let out this shaky breath like she couldn't catch it. Amber stood behind her chair, too close. Her hands were tight around a folded napkin, knuckles white. I saw her glance at me, then at Dana. And just like that, it all clicked. The morning nausea, the random vomiting, the headaches, the weakness, the times I'd felt like I was losing my mind after dinner. I thought it was stress, or maybe early onset something. But now, watching Dana go down the same exact path, in real time, I was done pretending. I set my mug on the table. Didn't touch it. "You okay, Dana?" I asked. "Calm. Too calm." She nodded, but it looked forced. "Just a little dizzy." Amber jumped in. She probably didn't eat enough this morning. Blood sugar or something. I kept my eyes on Amber. "Weird coincidence, huh?" She froze. "What do you mean?" I shrugged, still casual. "Just that Dana's feeling off. Kind of like I've been for months now. After eating at home. After drinking coffee. After you make something." Brian finally looked up from his phone. "Wait, what's going on?" Dana turned toward Amber. "Scott's been sick?" "On and off," I said, keeping my tone light. "Especially after brunches. And dinners. That time you dropped off homemade chili, remember?" Amber's face twitched. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Dana looked between us, confused. "You think I—" "No." I cut in, looking her straight in the eye. "You didn't make this coffee." Amber raised her hands. "Okay, this is getting dramatic. You're not accusing me of anything, right?" "Not yet." I pulled my phone from my pocket and placed it face up on the table. "Recording, screen still active. I've been recording the whole morning." Her face went cold. "What?" Figured something was off. Figured maybe if I kept ending up sick, someone should hear how things go down. You handing me coffee. You pushing food on me. Your reaction when someone else drank what was meant for me. Dana leaned back. "Wait. What the hell are you saying?" Amber's voice sharpened. "This is ridiculous. Are you serious right now?" I'm calling an ambulance, I said, pulling the phone back and opening the dialer. Dana's getting a talk screen. I want real answers. No more guessing. Amber reached for me. Scott, stop. This isn't. No. I stood up. You've had chances to explain. You had chances when I told you I didn't feel right, when I asked if we should change our water filter, when I said maybe something was wrong with me. You played dumb every time. Dana's voice cracked. You think she poisoned me? I looked her in the eye. I think she meant to poison me. Amber's face drained. She backed away, bumping into the kitchen counter. I didn't mean. You didn't mean for her to drink it. I snapped. That's what you didn't mean. Brian stood up, finally realizing this wasn't a joke. Okay, I think everyone needs to calm. She needs a hospital, I said, ignoring him. And the cops are next. Dana tried to stand but stumbled. I grabbed her arm. You're all right. Just sit. Help's on the way. Amber didn't move. Just stood there, eyes darting, calculating. The paramedics came fast. Sirens echoing off the beach houses, red lights flashing across the glass walls. Dana sat slumped in the patio chair, forehead damp, breathing shallow. One medic took her vitals while the other knelt beside her, asking questions. Amber didn't move. She just stood by the counter, arms folded tight, like she didn't know where to put her hands. Like she didn't know what face to wear now that the game was up. She wasn't scared for Dana. She wasn't rushing to help. She was watching it unravel. Amber, I said, low and sharp, stepping between her and the scene. You're not acting like someone who's worried about her friend. Her eyes snapped to me. Don't do this here. I'm doing it right here, I said. This isn't a misunderstanding. This isn't some freak accident. You served that drink and stared at me like you were waiting for something to happen. I didn't know she stopped. Her throat worked like she was trying to swallow the words back. You didn't know she'd drink my cup. I finished for her. Yeah, I got that loud and clear. Brian stood frozen by the fridge, useless as ever, hands shaking but mouth shut. Dana was being loaded onto the gurney. She caught my eye as they wheeled her toward the door. I felt like this before, she said suddenly, voice weak but sharp. That meeting in Fresno. The lunch Amber brought. You looked like hell that day, Scott. You didn't touch your food. Amber turned to her, voice pitching high. It was a coincidence. You probably had the flu or something. You served me his lunch, Dana said, eyes narrowing. That's why I felt like crap during that pitch. You said it was labeled wrong. The medic hesitated by the door, waiting for the okay to move her out. Dana looked at me again. She didn't want you at that meeting. That was the big client, right? I nodded slowly. Yeah. Maddox Corporation, $70 million account. We closed it because you stepped in. Amber snapped. You think I wanted him dead? I just wanted him to slow down. Miss a few meetings. Rest. You were burning out, Scott. Bullshit, I said, stepping closer. You wanted control. You've hated being stuck behind the scenes for years. You wanted in on the partnership, and you couldn't stand that Brian picked me to lead. Her face twisted. Because I earned it too. I worked just as hard. You weren't chosen, I said, cutting her off. So you decided to take me out a little at a time. Dana groaned from the gurney. She said that to me once. She said men don't get sidelined unless you force them to sit down. I thought she was venting. I didn't think she meant it literally. Amber tried again, reaching toward me. I didn't mean for anyone to get hurt. I just wanted space to breathe. I didn't think it would go this far. You kept going anyway, I said flatly. When I got weaker, you pushed harder. Whatever you started with, it wasn't enough. You upped the dose. The medic gave me a look. We need to go? Now. I nodded and stepped back. They wheeled Dana out the door and down the steps toward the ambulance. Amber didn't follow. She just stood there, breathing fast, calculating behind her eyes. She knew it was slipping away. Just admit it, I said quietly, leaning close so only she could hear. You didn't want to make me miss a meeting. You wanted me gone. She didn't say a word. I turned and followed the stretcher. At the hospital, I paced the hallway outside Dana's room while nurses moved in and out. Her skin had more color now. The fluids were helping. She was stable. Toxic ingestion. That's what the ER doc called it. He had questions. I gave answers. I handed him my phone and showed the recording. Every word Amber said, every panicked look when Dana started going downhill. The doc didn't flinch. He just said, "We'll run a panel. I'll let you know what we find." I nodded. My jaw ached from how tight I'd been clenching it. 30 minutes later, he came back with the results. Brodificum, he said. It's a compound found in certain types of rodenticides. Animal control stuff. Long half-life. Nasty if ingested. Is she going to be okay? She'll need monitoring and vitamin K treatment. But yes, she's lucky. It wasn't a lethal dose. Lucky. Jesus. 2 officers showed up not long after. I filled them in, laid out everything from the last 6 months. Dana was still out cold, but I told them she'd back up what happened once she was alert. They took my phone and copied the audio, then asked where Amber was. She's still at the house, I said, probably thinking up new lies. They left without another word. An hour passed. I stayed by Dana's bedside while she dozed. Her breathing was steady. Machines beeped softly around her. I didn't realize how bad I needed to see someone I trusted still breathing, still fighting, until I sat down in that chair. Then I heard the commotion down the hall. Amber's voice, sharp and desperate. You don't understand. This is all a mistake. I stood up. The officers walked her past Dana's room, wrists cuffed behind her back. She saw me. Scott, please, just talk to me. I didn't move. Let me explain. You know I would never hurt you. I stared straight through her. Not a word. She kept shouting until the elevator doors shut behind her. Back in the room, Dana stirred. Her eyes fluttered open and focused on me. She's gone. I nodded, cuffed and crying. She took a slow breath. I'm so sorry, Scott. I should have noticed something was off. I should have said something sooner. It's not your fault, I said. You trusted her. So did I? I looked down at my hands, remembering how it all started, the night I first got sick. It was subtle. An upset stomach here, a migraine there. Then it crept up, slowly, like she was testing the waters. She probably figured if I crashed a few times, I'd take myself out of the equation. Take a break. Miss a flight. Lose a deal. But I didn't. I kept showing up. So she pushed harder. Switched from passive to deliberate. Dana reached for the water by her bed. Her hand shook. You think she wanted to kill you? That stopped me. Until now, I hadn't said it out loud. But looking at Dana, pale, drained, recovering from a dose that was never meant for her, I saw the whole plan. Amber didn't just want me benched. She didn't want me back on the field at all. Yeah, I said quietly. I think she did. They brought me into the precinct through a side door. No press. No noise. Just cold tile and the kind of lighting that made everything look worse. A detective nodded toward a small gray room with 1 table, 2 chairs, and a camera in the corner. She asked to see you. Amber sat on the far side. Hands folded like this was some kind of therapy session. She didn't look like herself. No makeup, hair flat, wrists cuffed to the metal bar on the table. But her face? Still composed. Still performing. I sat down across from her. Didn't say a word at first. Let the silence fill the room until she cracked. You don't have to be here, she said, voice low. They told me I could speak to an attorney, but I said I'd talk to you first. I leaned forward. Why? She blinked. Because I knew you'd want answers. I want the truth, I said. Not whatever version you've rehearsed in your head. She looked away, then back. You wouldn't understand. I scoffed. Try me. She hesitated, like she was waiting for me to soften. I didn't. So she finally said it. I felt invisible, she said. At the agency. At those meetings. At our own damn kitchen table. I didn't respond. I wanted her to keep going. You always got the clients. Brian always defaulted to you. Every time something big came in, they said, let Scott take it. I put in just as much work. More sometimes. You think that justifies poisoning me? I didn't poison you, she snapped. Not at first. I just wanted you to slow down. Take a step back. Give me space to show I could handle things too. But I didn't, I said flatly. So you made sure I would. She stared at the table. I watched you keep going. Even when you looked like hell. Even when you could barely keep your head up. I thought, if I could just take the pressure off, you'd back off on your own. No. You wanted to replace me. I wanted a fair shot, she hissed. I deserve that. I've been doing the strategy decks. The client pitches. The rebrands. You were just the face. I let that sit in the air. She still didn't get it. You were my wife? I said finally. I trusted you with my life. Literally. You were feeding me poison while I thank you for taking care of me. Her lip quivered, just slightly. I didn't know it would go that far. You measured it, I said. You tracked the symptoms. You kept records. That wasn't an accident. That was a science project. Amber's eyes darted toward the mirror. She knew someone was watching. Maybe she still thought this was salvageable. Then she asked, Is Dana okay? I didn't answer right away. Just stared at her. She's in the hospital, I said finally. You almost killed your best friend. Does that mean anything to you? Amber's face cracked. Just for a second. Her voice dropped to a whisper. I didn't mean for her to get hurt. I swear to God, Scott. That's the first honest thing you've said. She looked down at her hands like she was just now noticing the cuffs. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. And for a moment, I saw it. The full weight of what she'd done landing on her all at once. But I didn't care. I stood up and knocked on the door. It opened instantly. Behind me, she called out, Scott, wait, please. I didn't turn around. She could sit with the silence for once. They let me follow them into the house. 2 detectives, one in front of me, one behind. No small talk. Just the sound of our footsteps through the front door Amber and I used to call ours. The living room still smelled like her candles, something fake and floral. I hated how familiar it felt. The lead detective motioned toward her home office. We'll start here. I hadn't been in that room in months. She kept it locked most of the time, said it was for client privacy. But now, watching them pick the lock and swing the door open, I realized she'd been hiding more than emails. Drawers came out. Boxes opened. Files spread across the floor. Then one of them paused. Got something. He lifted a black plastic storage bin from under her desk. It looked normal, like something you'd keep receipts or wires in. But inside, vials, labels, Ziploc bags, measuring droppers, a half-used bottle with a skull and crossbones warning on the side. They laid everything out on a blue tarp. I watched from the doorway, arms crossed, mouth dry. Then came the notebook. It wasn't thick, but it was neat. Every page dated. Bullet points lined up perfectly. Her handwriting, bubbly, rounded, made the words feel even more twisted. March 3rd, coffee, low dose. Result, slight nausea, minor irritability. Attended Zoom with client. No interruption. April 12th, smoothie, medium dose. Result, canceled lunch with Maddox team. Complained of vision fuzziness. Needed nap. I kept reading. May 20th, missed Q2 presentation. Perfect. July 4th, Dana drank his cup by mistake. No reaction. Will increase next week. I froze. That was the day we grilled on the deck. I'd blamed the beers. One of the detectives handed me gloves. You should see this. He opened a folder labeled Scott, Business Impact. Inside were printouts of our company's calendar, milestone dates, pitch meetings. She'd circled some, written notes beside others. Get him out of Arizona trip. Delay him from leading Q for closeout. If weak, I present instead. She wasn't trying to support me. She wasn't trying to be seen. She was running an experiment. I stepped back, trying not to lose it. She tracked every reaction, like I was some science project. She ever study chemistry? One of the officers asked. She did pre-med before switching to marketing, I said. Dropped out junior year. Said it wasn't for her. He nodded. Well, she kept the lab part. They kept collecting. Bag after bag. The bin was almost full by the time I stopped them. I've seen enough. I walked through the house slowly. Past the wedding photo still on the hallway wall. Past the couch where she used to rub my shoulders after dinner, after dosing me. Past the kitchen counter where she stirred sugar into my tea and smiled like nothing was wrong. None of it felt like mine anymore. When I stepped outside, I didn't look back. I let the door swing shut behind me. That house wasn't home. It was the crime scene. The trial started 2 months later. By then, everyone knew. The papers had it. Local news ran it nonstop. Marketing exec accused in husband's poison plot. The headlines got nastier with every update. Amber's photo was everywhere. That perfect headshot from our agency's site. Next to words like betrayal, ambition, and attempted murder. Reporters waited outside the courthouse like it was a red carpet. I walked past them every day with my head down. Not out of shame. I just didn't have anything left to say. Inside, the courtroom was ice cold and brutal. The prosecutor wasted no time. He started with the toxicology report, laid out every compound found in Dana's system. Then mine. The matches were exact. He played the audio from my phone. You could hear the coffee mugs clink, Dana coughing, Amber's fake concern breaking apart in real time. Then he introduced the notebook. The reaction in the room changed after that, the kind of quiet where people stopped breathing. One juror physically leaned back when he read the line about upping the dosage. Dana testified on day 4. She walked in slow, but stood strong. She didn't cry, just told the truth. About how her hands went numb, how she couldn't walk straight, how she thought her own friend was trying to help her sit down, not knock her out. She looked me in the face, Dana said, and let me drink it. Amber didn't look at her once. Brian took the stand next. He tried to defend her at first, said she'd been under pressure, that they'd all been working long hours. But when the prosecutor asked if Amber ever tried to steer clients away from me, his tone changed. She said Scott was stretched thin, Brian admitted. That maybe I should give her more direct leads. I didn't think she meant it maliciously. I guess I was wrong. More coworkers followed, all of them piecing it together, the small digs, the side comments, the way Amber quietly chipped away at me while smiling to my face. The defense scrambled, claimed stress, exhaustion, emotional imbalance. Her lawyer said the doses were too low to be fatal, said it wasn't about murder, just poor judgment. The jury didn't buy it. They came back fast. Unanimous. Guilty on all counts. Amber just sat there, stiff and silent like she'd been sedated. No tears. No outbursts. Just this cold, dead stare, like she still didn't get what she'd done. The judge gave her 25 years. No parole. I didn't flinch. Afterward, a reporter caught me walking out. Scott, how do you feel about the verdict? I paused, looked him in the eye, like it doesn't change a damn thing. Because it didn't. Amber was going to prison. Good. But the damage? That was permanent. I wasn't just poisoned. I'd been gutted. She'd taken trust and turned it into a weapon. People clapped when the verdict came in, said justice was served. But I didn't feel triumphant. I felt tired. So I turned off my phone, skipped every interview, and disappeared back into my work. Not for revenge. Not for pride. Just because moving forward was the only thing left I could control. Months passed. I didn't feel the time slipping by. It was more like everything around me was moving while I stood still, watching. The agency didn't crumble without Amber. I built it back up, not by force, but by focusing on the work that had always been mine. New clients came in, big ones. People who saw past the mess I'd come out of, who understood my value. I pushed hard, harder than I ever had before. I didn't feel like I had a choice. The team trusted me again. The partners saw my numbers and my focus, and after I secured a long-term contract with one of our biggest clients, they made me managing partner. That moment felt hollow. In the middle of the deal, when everything was finally starting to click again, my phone rang. It was a prison number. Amber. I let it go to voicemail. When the message came through, I didn't listen to it. I knew what it would say. A few days later, Dana and I were having dinner at my apartment. She'd become a solid friend, the kind of friend who felt like family, especially after everything we'd been through together. Over plates of pasta and wine, she told me Amber had called her. She asked me to help her with the appeal, Dana said, shaking her head. She said she was sorry. She said she'd learned her lesson, that it was all a mistake. I couldn't help but laugh, bitter and dry. That's what she said. Yeah. She told me she didn't mean for it to go so far. She just wanted you to slow down. That it was all just a misunderstanding. She thought she was helping you by taking some of the weight off your shoulders. I put my fork down and met Dana's eyes. I don't buy it. No one does. Dana sipped her wine and looked out the window. She didn't change. She just regrets getting caught. She wasn't sorry for what she did, just that she got exposed. I nodded, letting that sink in. It had never been about me. It was always about what she could get. Control. Power. The money. Dana paused. She also asked me to tell you that you were the one who never understood her. I almost choked. She never understood me. Dana laughed lightly, but it wasn't funny. She knew it. We both did. After dinner, when Dana left, I went into my office and opened my phone. There were a dozen messages from Amber, maybe more. She hadn't called just once. She'd left a string of voicemails, texts. Some short, some long. Most of them asking for forgiveness. She asked for closure. I deleted them all. All of it. Every message, every word, every memory. Gone. When the last one disappeared, my chest loosened. I'd carried it all. Her betrayal, her manipulation, the anger, the confusion, for too long. But as I stood there, staring at my phone, I realized I didn't need to hear her voice anymore. I didn't need to go back. I was free. Not just from her, but from everything she'd tried to destroy. For the first time, I felt like I could breathe. Like I was finally starting to rebuild what she'd tried to tear down. A year passed. It was hard to believe, standing on the dock of the lakeside cabin Amber and I had once shared. This place, so full of memories, now felt like someone else's life, like I was just visiting, not living here. The sun was low, dipping below the trees, casting long shadows across the water. It was still, calm, the kind of peace I hadn't felt in ages. I sat down on the old bench, the one with the peeling paint that Amber always said we should fix. I didn't care about the paint. I cared about the stillness, the absence of everything she'd left behind. A warm cup of coffee in my hand, the steam rising and mixing with the cool air. I took a sip, the bitterness grounding me in the moment. It wasn't like I didn't think about what had happened. Sometimes the past crept up, the rage, the betrayal, the why. But sitting here, in this place, all I could feel was quiet. I thought about how close I'd come to losing everything, to losing myself. If I'd kept ignoring the signs, if I'd kept pretending everything was fine, I would have missed it. I would have kept trusting the wrong person. It was almost too easy to stay blind, to tell myself Amber was just stressed or tired. But the signs were always there. The small things. The too cheerful smile. The way she'd casually push me to take on more work when I was already buried. I had seen it, but I hadn't wanted to. And in the end, I wasn't broken. I was rebuilt. The betrayal had chipped away at the person I used to be, but it left something stronger behind. Something clearer. Something I could trust again. I looked down at the letter in my lap. Amber's last letter to me. A pathetic attempt to apologize, to rewrite the story now that she had nothing left. I stood up, walked to the fire pit by the edge of the dock, and tossed it in. Watched it catch fire, curl at the edges, and burn down to ash. The smoke swirled up into the sky, disappearing. The water was still, the sky clear. For the first time in years, so was I.